It was a hot afternoon. People were eating and laughing inside a big restaurant in the city. The smell of food filled the air. Plates were full of rice, chicken, soup, and cold drinks. Waiters moved around with trays, serving rich customers. Outside the restaurant sat an old woman. Her clothes were torn. Her hair was gray and messy. Her face was thin, and her eyes looked tired. She had not eaten for 2 days. Her name was Mama Grace. She once had a family. She had a husband and 3 children. But they all died many years ago in a car accident. Since then, she had no one. She lived alone in a small wooden house, and she begged on the street to survive. That afternoon, her stomach made loud noises. She had walked a long distance under the sun, looking for something to eat. She passed by dustbins, but there was nothing inside. She felt weak, but she kept walking. When she got to the restaurant, the smell of food made her stop. She stood near the door. She looked inside and saw people throwing away food. Some did not finish their meals. Some left full plates untouched. She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. She walked slowly into the restaurant. Her legs shook, but she kept going. She went to the counter and looked at the young man selling food. "Please, sir," she said in a weak voice. "Can I have the food they are throwing away? Just the leftovers. I am very hungry." The young man looked at her from head to toe. He frowned. He called another staff member, and soon, a manager came. The old woman smiled weakly. She thought they were going to help her. The manager was a tall man with a clean shirt and shiny shoes. He looked at Mama Grace with disgust. The smell of her old clothes made him step back. He raised his voice and said, "Madam, what are you doing here? This is not a dustbin. You cannot come here begging for food." Mama Grace joined her hands in front of her chest. "Please, sir," she begged softly. "I am not asking for money. Just the leftover food, the ones people didn't finish. I have not eaten for 2 days." Some customers in the restaurant turned to look. They began whispering and pointing at her. Some laughed. One woman covered her nose and said loudly, "Why would they allow dirty people like this inside?" The manager shouted again, "Get out now before I call the police. You are making my customers uncomfortable." A waiter came and pushed her gently at first, but when she didn't move fast enough, he became rough. Her bag fell on the floor, and some of her things spilled out. A small comb, a piece of bread she was saving, and an old photo of her family. The customers laughed louder. One man took a picture with his phone. Mama Grace bent slowly to pick up her things. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was heavy. She felt shame all over her. Tears rolled down her face, but she wiped them quickly. "Please, don't hurt me," she said quietly. The manager pointed at the door. "Leave and don't ever come back here again." She picked up her things, held them close, and walked out slowly. Her feet were weak. Her stomach was empty. Her spirit was broken. She sat on a bench near the road. The sun was going down. Cars passed by. People walked by, but no one looked at her. She felt like the world had forgotten her. Mama Grace sat quietly on the bench. Her eyes were tired. Her body was weak. She looked at the people walking past her, hoping someone would care. But no one stopped. Just then, a young woman in a red dress walked by. Her name was Anita. She had seen everything that happened inside the restaurant. She had watched how Mama Grace was shouted at, laughed at, and pushed out. Anita had come to the restaurant to meet a friend, but when she saw the way the old woman was treated, she lost her appetite. She could not forget the look in the old woman's eyes. So much pain, so much hunger. She walked back to the restaurant, ordered a full plate of rice, beans, fried plantain, and meat. She also bought a cold bottle of water. Then she walked to where Mama Grace was sitting. "Excuse me, Mama," Anita said softly, kneeling down beside her. Mama Grace looked up slowly. She was surprised. No one had called her Mama kindly in a long time. "I brought you some food. Please eat," Anita said, handing her the plate. Mama Grace's hands shook as she took the food. She looked at Anita with wide eyes, as if she could not believe someone was helping her. Then tears dropped from her eyes again, but this time, it was not from pain. It was from joy. "Thank you, my daughter," Mama Grace whispered. "God bless you." Anita smiled. "Eat slowly, Mama. There's also cold water for you." Mama Grace opened the water and took a long drink. Then she began to eat slowly, 1 spoon at a time. Her body needed the food, but her heart needed the love even more. Anita sat with her quietly. She asked Mama Grace where she lived, what happened to her family, and how she survived. Mama Grace told her everything. about her husband, her children, the accident, and how she had been begging on the streets since then. Anita listened with care. She did not laugh. She did not look away. She held the old woman's hand and said, "You are not alone, Mama. I will help you." For the first time in many years, Mama Grace felt hope. After Mama Grace finished eating, she leaned back on the bench. She looked at Anita with eyes full of thanks. She had not felt this kind of love in many years. Anita smiled gently. "Mama," she said, "you can't stay on the streets like this anymore. It's not safe. You need a place to rest and people to care for you." Mama Grace looked down. "I know, my daughter. But where will I go? I have no one." Anita held her hand and said, "You have me now." Mama Grace looked at her in surprise. "You don't even know me, yet you're helping me?" Anita nodded. "Yes, but God knows you, and He sent me to you today. No one should go hungry. No one should be laughed at for asking for food." Anita stood up and helped Mama Grace to her feet. "Come with me," she said. "You will stay with me tonight. Tomorrow, we will see what we can do to make your life better." Mama Grace followed her slowly. Her legs were weak, but her heart was strong. Someone finally cared. Anita took her to a small but clean house not far from the restaurant. The house had 2 rooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. It was not big, but it was peaceful. Birds sang outside, and flowers grew near the window. She gave Mama Grace a warm bath, fresh clothes, and a soft bed to lie on. Mama Grace lay down and cried again, tears of joy this time. That night, she slept like a baby. For the first time in many years, she had a pillow, a blanket, and peace. The next morning, Anita made hot tea and bread. Mama Grace ate quietly, thanking God with every bite. After breakfast, Anita sat with her. "Mama," she said, "I want to do more than just feed you. I want to help you start again. Will you let me?" Mama Grace held her hands. "Yes, my daughter, I will." Anita made a plan in her heart. She was going to change the old woman's life. But she didn't know that God was also planning something bigger for both of them. The next morning, Anita helped Mama Grace wear clean clothes and comb her hair. The old woman looked brighter, even though her face still showed signs of many years of suffering. Anita said, "Today, we are going to visit someone very important." "Who is that, my daughter?" Mama Grace asked. "My pastor," Anita replied. "He helps people. He listens. I believe he can guide us." Mama Grace nodded slowly. "If you say so, I will follow you." They walked gently to a nearby church. It was a small building with white walls and a wooden door. Inside, the place was quiet and peaceful. Birds sang in the trees, and the wind blew softly. The pastor was sitting in his office when Anita knocked. "Come in," he said. He smiled warmly when he saw Anita. But when he saw Mama Grace, he stood up with concern. "Who is this woman?" he asked kindly. Anita told him the full story. How Mama Grace was humiliated at the restaurant, how no one helped her, and how she had taken her in. The pastor listened quietly. He looked at Mama Grace and said, "Mama, you are welcome. You are not forgotten. You are loved." Tears came to Mama Grace's eyes again. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. The pastor stood and walked around his desk. He laid his hand gently on her shoulder and prayed for her. He prayed for healing, strength, and a new beginning. After the prayer, he said, "God is not finished with you, Mama. You still have a purpose." Anita looked at the pastor and said, "What can we do to help her live a better life?" The pastor thought for a moment and said, "Let's find out what Mama Grace used to do. Maybe we can help her do it again in a small way." Anita turned to Mama Grace. "What work did you do when you were younger?" Mama Grace smiled a little. "I used to sell akara and pap. People loved my food. But after the accident, I stopped everything." Anita clapped her hands with joy. "Then we will help you start again, Mama. You will sell akara and pap once more." Mama Grace looked unsure. "But I am old and weak." The pastor replied, "God will give you the strength. You are not alone anymore." And with that, a new plan began. Anita and the pastor helped Mama Grace make a plan to start her akara and pap business again. They decided to begin small, just from the front of Anita's house. It was a quiet street, but many people passed by every morning. Anita went to the market with Mama Grace. They bought beans, pepper, onions, firewood, and a small frying pan. They also bought a table, 2 small chairs, and a clean pot for pap. When they returned home, Mama Grace sat down and smiled. "I never thought I would do this again," she said. Anita replied, "Yes, Mama, you can, and I will be here to help you every day." The next morning, Mama Grace woke up early. She peeled the beans, blended them, and mixed the batter. She lit the fire carefully. The smell of hot oil filled the air. As she dropped the first spoon of akara into the pan, she smiled. Her hands moved slowly but surely. It was like the old days again. Anita helped her pour the pap into cups and serve the first customers. People passing by stopped to look. Some knew Anita, and when they saw the old woman beside her, they became curious. "Who is this mama?" they asked. Anita told them the story, but not to shame anyone. She shared it to show how kindness can change a life. Soon, people started buying the food. They tasted the akara and said, "This is sweet. This is real akara." More people came the next day. They brought their friends. Word spread fast. Mama Grace was happy. Her face looked younger. Her eyes looked alive. She made money that day. Not much, but enough to buy more beans and small things for herself. She was no longer begging. She was working again with dignity. Each evening, she sat with Anita and counted her small earnings. She prayed and gave thanks. She no longer cried from hunger but from joy. Anita was proud. "You see, Mama," she said, "you still have something to offer. Your life is not over." Mama Grace nodded. "Yes, my daughter. I feel alive again." But the biggest surprise was still on the way. Someone unexpected was about to enter Mama Grace's life. 1 week later, Mama Grace's akara and pap business was doing well. People came early just to buy from her. Some even waited in line. Anita helped every morning, and they both smiled as they worked together. One sunny morning, something strange happened. A black car stopped near their table. A man stepped out wearing a neat shirt and shiny shoes. Mama Grace looked up and gasped quietly. It was the restaurant manager, the same man who shouted at her and pushed her out. He looked around, shocked. People were gathered, buying from the same old woman he had once insulted. The manager walked closer. "Madam," he said, "is this you?" Mama Grace stood quietly. She didn't know what to say. Anita stepped forward. "Yes," she said. "This is Mama Grace. The same woman your staff laughed at, pushed out, and humiliated." The manager looked ashamed. His eyes dropped. I didn't know. I thought she was just another beggar." Anita's voice was calm. "Even if she was, is that how you treat someone hungry?" The man looked around again. Everyone was watching. He looked at Mama Grace. "I came to say sorry, Mama. I didn't treat you well. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Mama Grace nodded slowly. "I forgive you, my son. I don't carry hate in my heart." He looked surprised at her kindness. "I also came to make things right," the manager added. "I want to offer you a small spot in front of our restaurant. You can sell your akara and pap there. I will give you a table and umbrella for free." Anita was shocked. "Really?" "Yes," the man replied. "People will buy from her. And maybe, just maybe, I can make up for what I did wrong." Mama Grace smiled. "Thank you. May God bless you." Everyone clapped. Some even cheered. A woman shouted, "God bless Mama Grace." That day, Mama Grace felt something she hadn't felt in years: respect. She was no longer seen as a dirty beggar. She was seen as a strong woman with a good heart. Mama Grace moved her akara and pap stall to the front of the restaurant, just like the manager promised. It was a busy place, and many people stopped to buy from her. Her food was delicious, and her smile was warm. Every day, she worked hard. She woke up early to prepare her food. She laughed with Anita, who helped her with everything. The manager visited often. He brought new things: a bright umbrella, a clean table, and fresh plates. He even helped Mama Grace make signs that said, "Fresh akara and pap, made with love by Mama Grace." People started talking about her story. They said how she was treated badly but came back stronger. Some brought their children to meet her. Others gave her small gifts. Mama Grace's heart was full of joy. She no longer felt invisible. She felt proud. One afternoon, a young man approached her. He smiled kindly and said, "Mama Grace, I heard about you from the manager. My name is Samuel. I want to help you." Mama Grace looked at him. "How will you help, my son?" Samuel smiled. "I have a small shop nearby. I want to buy your akara and pap every day. Then I will sell it in my shop. This way, you can reach more people and earn more money." Mama Grace's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Samuel. God bless you." Her life was changing every day. From an old woman humiliated and pushed out of a restaurant, she was now a businesswoman with friends and respect. Anita held Mama Grace's hand. "See, Mama, this is just the start. Your story will inspire many." Mama Grace smiled. "Yes, my daughter. God never forgets his children. One morning, Mama Grace was busy frying akara when the doorbell of Anita's house rang. Anita went to open the door, and a group of people came inside. They were smiling and carrying gifts. Mama Grace looked up, surprised. Among the group was a woman in a nice dress and a man in a suit. They walked toward her slowly. The woman smiled warmly. "Mama Grace, my name is Mrs. Johnson. I heard your story from the pastor. We want to help you." The man added, "We run a charity that helps elderly people who need a second chance. We would like to support your business." Mama Grace felt tears in her eyes. Thank you, she said again and again. Mrs. Johnson gave Mama Grace a small envelope. Inside was money to buy new cooking equipment and food. The man said, "We will also help you rent a bigger place to sell your akara and pap. You deserve a good business." Anita hugged Mama Grace. "See, Mama, good people are everywhere. Your kindness and hard work are paying off." Mama Grace looked around at the smiling faces. "God is so good. He has brought you all to me." From that day, Mama Grace's business grew faster. She hired 2 young helpers, and more people came to buy her food. She felt happy and strong, but the greatest happiness was in her heart. She knew she was loved and respected. 1 year later, everything had changed for Mama Grace. She no longer wore torn clothes or sat alone on a bench. She now wore clean wrappers and smiled every day. Her akara and pap business had grown. She had a small shop, 2 workers, and even a signboard with her name, Mama Grace's Kitchen, Taste of Love. People from all over the city came to buy her food. Some came just to meet the woman who once begged for leftovers, but now fed others with joy. She became a symbol of hope. Every morning, Mama Grace knelt down and prayed before starting work. "Thank you, Lord," she always said, "for giving me a second chance." Anita was still by her side. She was like a daughter. They laughed, cooked, and helped the needy together. Anita also started a small program to help hungry street people. She named it Mama Grace Foundation. One day, the same restaurant where Mama Grace was insulted invited her for a special event. The manager came to her shop and said, "Mama Grace, we want to honor you. Please be our guest of honor." At first, Mama Grace was quiet. She remembered how she had been pushed out like trash. But then she smiled and said, "Yes, I will come. I want to show people that life can change." She went to the event in a beautiful dress. When she entered the hall, everyone stood and clapped. Some people cried. The same spot where she was once thrown out had now become a place of honor for her. She was given a special seat and an award. The manager stood in front of the crowd and said, "We treated Mama Grace badly, but she forgave us. She turned her pain into purpose. She is a hero." Mama Grace stood up and said gently, "I was hungry and laughed at, but today I am full and respected. Not because I fought back, but because someone showed me kindness." Everyone clapped again. That night, as Mama Grace lay on her soft bed, she smiled. Not because of the award or money, but because she knew she had gone from shame to honor. Her story taught people a lesson. Never look down on anyone. The person begging today may feed you tomorrow. Kindness is powerful. A simple act of love can change a life forever. Never judge others by their clothes or their hunger. Instead, lend a hand. Give hope. Be the reason someone smiles again. If you see someone in need today, don't turn away. Share what you can. Your kindness could be the beginning of their miracle. Like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. Let's spread love, not hate.